What is up guys, it's your boy Solam here, back with another Classic WoW video for Season of Discovery, and we are currently in Phase 7, and today I want to talk about where are we going and when are we going there. Basically, the future of Season of Discovery, and what I personally think will and or should happen. And obviously at this point I don't think anyone knows what's happening, except for Blizzard, if they even know. And they have said that we have a home in Season of Discovery, so we will be going somewhere. The only question is where, and I'm just going to say right now, I think we're going to get a Discovery era. So at the end of Season of Discovery, we basically get era servers, and it's going to be called the Discovery era. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, like where are we going, and what's coming in the future before we go there. So for example, I think we're going to go to Discovery era, but I still think we have Phase 8, Phase 9, and possibly Phase 10, before we go there. When it comes to Season of Discovery, Blizzard has a lot of content that they can make to the game itself, and I kinda want to explore a little bit of that today. Now, we're currently in Phase 7, we're doing Noxramus, but we have a little bit of new content in Phase 7 as well, which includes, for example, the Karazhan Crypt, a brand new dungeon that has been data mined. Like, this was back in World of Warcraft vanilla files. The Karazhan Crypts already had a dungeon layout back then, and it's basically something that was left unfinished that they have now gone back and finished. Now, when it comes to future content we might see in Season of Discovery, I don't think we're only looking at old content that they are now finishing, and the reason for that is simply the Scarlet Enclave. Now, when it comes to the vanilla WoW files, sure, the zone might have been there, and the assets might have been there, but the raid itself wasn't really there per my knowledge and per the research I've been able to do, but we have a lot of other raids that could have been there instead. So when it comes to future content, Blizzard might take a mixed approach of number one, refinishing old content that is left unfinished, but also listening to the community, because having a Scarlet raid is something that people have been asking for a while. Either way, let's explore. So the first thing that I personally think could be coming out in the future is a Karazhan raid, and this is something that was actually data mined back in the OG vanilla WoW files, and I might show you the entire post at the end of this video, just going through what was data mined, like certain bits of content that was left out, which includes raids, dungeons, zones, battlegrounds, you name it, right? There's been a lot of content that was planned in vanilla WoW that got cut for various reasons. Maybe it just didn't make sense, maybe it took too much time, or they just didn't find a way to make it make sense in the story or in the game itself. So this right here is some old footage, by the way, of Karazhan before the Burning Crusade came out. So the Tower of Karazhan is already made before TBC came out, and basically we have the layout of Karazhan. It's the same thing as Karazhan Crypt, where we have the whole layout for it. It was meant to be a raid, or at least it was meant to be used for something. They went through the trouble of putting all of these things right here into the Karazhan Tower, and the Tower of Medivh, as they called it, right? So the Karazhan Tower is already there, and we have the internal structure, and they have gone through the trouble of putting bookcases, stairs, like so many things that are like put into this place, and this recording right here was made before TBC came out. So if you ask me, we might be looking at a Phase 9, something about Karazhan. It could even be called Tower of Medivh, or something about Karazhan. And another thing that kind of points towards this to me is that we have the Karazhan Crypt, and it kind of makes sense if we have the Karazhan Crypt that we also get Karazhan. Because what is Karazhan Crypt without Karazhan? Now, something else that was found in the World of Warcraft vanilla files that was removed before the game came out was the Emerald Dream, or the Emerald Sanctum. Now, this is basically a raid for the Green Dragonflight. I'm not completely sure if it was supposed to be a raid or just a zone or a dungeon, but it was at least data mined back in the OG vanilla WoW files. And here we have what that looks like. So you can see roughly the internal structure here. There's a bunch of trees, you have the whole green vibe, and it was meant to be like a zone based around the Green Dragonflight and druids, right? And for anyone who's been watching all of my videos recently, or if you're just a part of the private server World of Warcraft scene, you might know that Turtle WoW has actually taken the Emerald Dream and made a raid called the Emerald Sanctum. And looking at a couple of the boss fights here and just the whole scenery around where we are, it looks fairly familiar to the footage we just looked at as well, which was once again footage based on vanilla WoW and the internal structure that was meant for the Emerald Dream. So they've actually taken this and turned it into a green dragonflight raid that we now have access to on that server. So the Emerald Dream could be a lot of things. It could be number one, a whole new zone. It could be several zones that are linked together in like an island or something, or a different instance. You basically take a portal through the whole green dragonflight thing in Duskwood, right? If you go through that portal, let's say you get taken to the Emerald Dream, and the Emerald Dream would consist of 3 separate zones or something like that. It could be something of that effect, giving you a whole new endgame zone based around the Emerald Dream. Or it could be a raid, Emerald Dream raid with the green dragonflight, or it could be a dungeon, just something about Emerald Dream. Now, do I think we will see this? Not sure. I think they might have played their card here and tried to do something to this effect when it came to the Nightmare Incursions. And if they do go with this route, I think they will try to tie it into Emerald, the Nightmare Incursions, to kind of fit that together, because that was also Green Dragonflight and Druid related, right? So that would kind of make sense lore-wise. But I personally don't think we'll see this in Season of Discovery, but I would love to be wrong. Now, here we have some more footage from way back in the day before the Burning Crusade came out, and we have footage of the Black Morass and going out of the dungeon entrance to then look at Caverns of Time, which means we had a functioning version of the Caverns of Time. It was just not just a locked off cavern, there was something inside. And the thing is, in the Season of Discovery and Classic era, you can bug yourself in or glitch yourself into the Caverns of Time. So we know that there is a Caverns of Time, and we also know there is a Black Morass. So some of these dungeons in Caverns of Time could have been, very likely was as well, meant to be in vanilla WoW, like a lot of these other things as well. So many of the early TBC content was actually very likely planned to be in vanilla WoW, and to be fair, the entirety of the Burning Crusade might have been meant to be in vanilla WoW. Now, I actually found a post detailing quite a lot of content that was cut from vanilla WoW that I kind of want to talk about. I'm not going to read through the entire thing, so feel free to pause the video if you want to see the entire thing, or read through it by yourself. I'm just going to read the highlights. So number 1 was Ashara Crater, a brand new battleground set in, well, Ashara Crater makes kind of sense. Bale Moden as well. Then we had Bay of Storms, an underwater instance set in Ashara, and based on what we know, it was meant to be around the Dark Portal area. So yeah, Caverns of Time, that was just showed you guys. Dragon Isles, not sure how that would make sense, and we were just there in Dragonflight, so I don't want to go there again. But Dragon Isles was actually data mined to be part of vanilla WoW, so having that in Dragonflight was kind of interesting. Then we have the East of Burning Steppes, we have the Emerald Dream we just looked at, Gilneas, a brand new zone that actually once again Turtle WoW has turned into a functionable questing area. We have Gilligam's Isle, and also Island of Dr. Lapidus. Now, in Turtle WoW, we have both Gilligam's Isle and Lapidus Isle, so that's kind of interesting. We have Grimbat Hall here, and Grimbat Hall could be 2 things. It could either be turned into a dungeon or a raid. Now, let me know what you think about this in the comments, but I would love to see Grimbat Hall be a dungeon, a big dungeon, kind of like BRD, right? It's a long dungeon, it takes about 1 hour to do. Grimbat Hall could be the same, and it could be a good catch-up dungeon for people that don't want to do the raids, but still want to catch up gear-wise to do the most recent raid. So let's say they come out with Emerald Nightmare raid in Phase 9, they could do Grimbat Hall as the dungeon in Phase 9 to catch up gear-wise. That way you don't have to do Naxxramas, for example, to get gear. Just an example. Then we have Hall of Thanes, we have Ironforge Airport that we have been able to glitch into. In Classic WoW, we have Kalidar, Karazhan, and Tower of Medivh that I have been showing you guys the footage of as well. And the Karazhan Crypts, this was data mined in the same place, so we already have Karazhan Crypt, we don't have Karazhan. or the Tower of Mediviat. We have Mount Hyjal, and I would love to see Mount Hyjal becoming a part of Season of Discovery. That is my dream here, that we actually go to Mount Hyjal and have the Mount Hyjal raid, but set into Classic WoW. That would be lovely. Then we have Northern Islands, Northern Lordaeron, Northrend, North Shire River, Old Outland, Old Kael Thalas. So going through both Old Outland and Old Kael Thalas, and we also had Karazhan, we had the Caverns of Time. A lot of content that we got in TBC was meant to be here in Vanilla WoW, and I would love to see what that looks like Old Outland, what would that look like, and Old Kael Thalas, what would that look like. We have the Ruins of Lordaeron, we have the Shatterspear Village, Southern Suleiman, Stormwind Vault, which once again Turtle WoW has done, and turned into a dungeon, so that's kinda cool. Sunken Tanaris and Battling Boats, interesting. We have the Undermine / Karazhan, which we are now getting in retail, by the way, so that's pretty cool as well. We have Uldum. I would love to see this in Season of Discovery, because in Uldum, this is like in Tanaris, right, all the way down south, you have a gate to Uldum that is partly open, but you can't go in, and there's even a quest line that you start in, is it called Uldaman? Yeah, Uldaman, right, and you start this, and it will unlock a quest called the Potence of Uldum. It's kind of like an attunement. Give us Uldum. I would love to see what that looks like. Have it be a raid, have it be a dungeon, have it be a zone, I don't care. I just want to go to Uldum in Classic WoW. Then we have the West of Stone Talon Mountains, Western Tirisfal Glades, Wetlands Farm, and the Sulatare. So there are a lot of different paths that Blizzard can take here when it comes to future content. I'm just gonna say they probably want to wrap up the season at some point, and possibly before BlizzCon. That way they can announce the next season as well, and get people hyped for that one. So I don't know how much longer we're looking at, but we're definitely getting Phase 8. That is all but confirmed now with Scarlet Enclave, right? So Phase 8 is basically coming out, not super confirmed yet, but soft confirmed. I also really think we're looking at a Phase 9, and possibly a Phase 10. But let me know what you think in the comments. What are we getting? How many phases are we getting? And what's happening at the end. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like down below, and thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you again in the next video very soon.